When was the last time somebody gave you advice? Don't eat yellow snow? Anyway, please don't do that because it is not very nice. If you're not sure what it is, Google it, but just don't blame me if you don't like the outcome. Well, today we're going to talk about if you're new here, my name is Brendan. I help millennials navigate busy lives and make sure that work doesn't suck. So if you're new into the channel, please do nudge the subscribe button and just click the like button if there's anything that you like within this video. So with that, we're going to cut the crap and we're going to dive straight in. Create an annual plan. Now you're probably sat there thinking, Brendan, no, seriously, creating a plan, that's not underrated. Well, it is, because most of the time we talk about budgets. Budgets are daily or weekly or monthly. We get into the real detail and we think, oh, how can I save £2 and stop having your daily coffees? And how can I make that £2 into £10 in the week and roll that up into every week across the year? God, it really bores me. It really bores me because yes, you do need to keep hold of those pennies, but just tracking those on a daily basis is really painful. Why not have an annual plan? Something big that you're going to go after, because some months you're going to be better and some months you're going to be less well off. So have a big plan. Here's an idea. Why don't you do it on your birthday? Yes, I know that probably sounds a little bit silly, but rather than going from January to December, why not go from when your birthday is to the same time the following year? It means that you could actually track how you've performed over the year and you could build in some goals and some objectives, and it just makes it far more interesting than going, well, God, January to December. Yeah, that was a bit boring, wasn't it? Anyway, food for thought. Give it a go. I've done it and it was quite a good one. Back in 2017, I flipped it all around and I went from November to October. Yeah, that was a good one. I quite liked it. Anyway, see what you think. Give it a go. Now, this is very, very prevalent because we're coming out of the back of COVID and having mental health considerations and physical health considerations are really, really on topic. But think about it from a financial perspective. What's the point in having a really big retirement fund if you're not physically and mentally well enough to spend it? I don't really want to be stuck in a chair when I'm unable to enjoy the hard graft that I've been through. So why not look after yourself? You've only got one body. Please move. They talk about movement being the oil and the lubricant of the soul, and that's exactly what it is. It also keeps the body moving. So sit up straight, drop the shoulders, take a big deep breath, give your body some good fuel, and look after it because you've only got one. It might be worth at this point thinking about the FIRE methodology, because financially independent, retiring early. Now that just means that if you have a bill which is £50 a month, why not generate some income that negates that each month? So you, rather than thinking, God, how am I going to create £1 million investment pot for my retirement? Why not just say, how can I generate £50 a month? Could I start an ebook, or could I create a newsletter, or can I put out some videos, or can I give value to somebody? And that's what I'm trying to do here. If you create £50 a month that then pays off that bill, then all of a sudden you have a net zero position, and that's where the financially independent retiring early movement comes from. If you can negate all of your expenses by income that you generate, then all of a sudden you technically become financially free. Please do check out this video here where I talk more about the financially independent retiring early movement. I think you might find it interesting. I did this back in 2012 when I worked for a company called Credit Suisse, and I got paid a shitload of cash to basically take minutes and book meeting rooms, and I was bored, properly bored. It was possibly, I'm not going to say it was the worst decision I ever made because it did allow me to pay off my student loan and it allowed me to buy a sports car, but mentally I was done. I only lasted a year because I just decided that my life was worth more than that, and at the age of mid-20s thinking, if this is all I'm going to do for the next 40 years, then this is not what I signed up for. So I changed. So please, and I know it sounds counterintuitive, and if you're going to work more than 40 hours a week, you might as well do what you love. But then again, is it possible to do what you love? Now, many people say only do what you love. Well, it's hard. It's hard. Very few people love what they do, especially if it's a job where you have to work hard. But hopefully you don't dread getting out of bed every morning. Now again, I'm going to put a link in here where I talk about if you hate your job and you despise Monday mornings, then it's probably time for a change. But in this instance, please don't take a job just for money, because yes, it's satisfying, but are you selling yourself short? Are you going to be bored? Are you going to be mentally stimulated? Are you just going to kind of all of a sudden, just relax, and you're not going to give your best? Because if you want to succeed, money is a very, very big influence. Plus, the more you get paid, the more you get used to it, and then the harder it can be to make a change. I've done that. So when I worked for Credit Suisse, I got paid weekly, and it was a lot that went in each week. It was nice, but I did leave after a year because I just knew that it was not going to give me the mental stimulation that I needed. So, please just bear that in mind. Now, the piece of advice I was given, actually, when we were buying a car last, was ask for a discount. Why not? What's the worst that can happen is that they'll say no. Well, yeah, I know that, but it's embarrassing. Asking for a discount, I know this is the full price, but is there anything you could do for a first-time buyer, or is there any discounts you could give, or can we talk about the price? You could use questions like, are there any special discounts going on at the moment? Are there any free promotions? Do you do anything for students or alumni, or are there a group of people that I could speak to that could help generate these discounts? I don't know. But the point is, you should never pay full price for anything. Actually, I take that back. If you're going to go to the supermarket and you're going to ask for your weekly shop, I would find that really difficult to ask for a discount. But many would say you should. But certainly when it comes to the bigger ticket stuff, you should definitely ask for a discount, whether we're booking holidays, buying a new car, buying a new camera for YouTube, or anything like that. I would highly encourage you to do so. I don't like it, and I find it really embarrassing, and sometimes I just palm it off to my other half, but you should definitely ask for a discount. Now remember, investing is different to saving. It was something that took me a little while to get used to. Saving is just putting your cash away, your hard-earned money, into an account and leaving it, hoping that at some point you might make £1 on your investment, or 1%, or whatever the arbitrary bank rate is at the moment. Investing is making your money work for you. Now think about that for a moment. You need to make your money work for you. To do that, and unless you are the next Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger or Ray Dalio, and you're going to make a hedge fund and change the world with the money that you make, the chances are you're going to have to start somewhere, and in that case it should be boring. Warren Buffett said if he was going to start again, he would encourage people to put their money into index tracker funds, which are passive, i.e. they're not actively managed, i.e. they don't ask people to decide the companies they should be in. It's all done on weightings based on, particular indices. So the FTSE 100, those companies, the funds will buy into a particular amount of those, and all of a sudden you just invest in the fund. So if the companies change in the top FTSE 100, then you don't have to worry about it because the fund does it for you. Boring. But the interesting thing is, if you had invested in passively managed index tracker funds over the last 20 years, you would have generally outperformed a lot of the market returns. And the fees are really low, because you don't want to generate profits and have fees take a lot of that away. So please have a look at things like the Vanguard Group. Have a look at brokers that will allow you to auto-invest. A great tip that I was given a long time ago was set it and forget it. So create a direct debit. Determine the amount of money you want to put in, determine the allocation you want to do it to. Do you want to do it to stocks or bonds, or are you going to look at the emerging markets? You get to choose all of these. Set the amount and then forget it. Obviously, if you're not sure, please get some proper financial advice, because nothing within this is classed as financial advice. I'm not telling you what to invest in, although I have said that these are the 8 most underrated financial insights I've been given. I need to change the title. Do you have an app or a solution that allows you to round up your cash? So for example, there's something called Money, or it could be Nutmeg, or it could be one of the other US equivalents. If you subscribe to that app, at the end of each week, it will round up your transactions and it takes that cash and invests it into a pot. So for example, I have one of my debit cards linked to my Moneybox account. And what that does is throughout the week, if I spend £9.97, it will take that 3p and it will round it up to £10, and it will take that 3p and put it in a pot, and at the end of each week it would invest that pot into an index tracker fund. Brilliant. Might not feel like much, but all of these things help. And over the last 2 years, you look at it and you think, oh, okay, I've saved far more than I realised. So, not all bad. Have a look, see what you think. I'd highly encourage you to do so. Remember, not financial advice. There is no excuse anymore not to understand what you're doing. There's so many free resources. There'll be other people out on YouTube who will give you such great insights as to how to get to grips with your financial implications. People like Graham Stepan or Ali Abdul, they will take you through all of the financial considerations. Just have a look. But also think about the Google resources in terms of being able to read and understand what people like Warren Buffett have done, or what is an index tracker fund, or should I buy a particular stock or share? How do I minimize my tax implications? How do I submit my tax return on time? Do I need to submit a tax return? For those of you in the US, what am I doing with my 401k? All of these questions, we have no excuse not to answer anymore. And yes, I would say if you're not entirely sure, ask an expert or a professional to do so, but there is no reason why we shouldn't become an expert ourselves. Avoid what is termed iceberg spending. Now, it has nothing to do with the water and actual icebergs, although the iceberg is kind of the metaphor for it. Is to be aware of those purchases which automatically mean you end up spending far more. So for me, I got into skiing a few years ago. I was very fortunate, was able to go to the mountains and I loved it. I went the second time and I thought, okay, this is something that I'd quite fancy doing. So I decided the best thing to do was to buy some boots. They were amazing. They were beautifully crafted. They were blue with a yellow stripe down them and they buckled up tight and I had them fitted to my feet and I felt like $1 million. Yeah, they weren't cheap. But that year, I thought, great. And then I decided, actually, I want some skis. Okay, yeah, so I looked at some skis and they were wonderful skis. They were basically sort of double parabolic, so they tipped at both ends and they flexed in the middle, allowing you to turn and have greater carving skills. Amazing. Cost as much, if not a little bit more than the boots, so again, you're getting in for a penny in for a pound then. Then you need a helmet, and then you want a new jacket, and then you need new salad pads. And then you haven't even thought about the flight to the destination and your ski pass and then your insurance and you want goggles and then you're going to have to go out in the après-ski and then, okay, you can see where I'm going. Iceberg spending is when one little element just leads on to this endless and sometimes really fun spending chain. Camera equipment is exactly the same. I mean, this is the Sony a6400 and I love it. But the stock lens, yeah, it's not bad. So I wanted a new one, this one. Ooh. Then you want a microphone. This thing up here, where has it gone? There. Anyway, and then you want some filters, and then you need the editing equipment, and you want to be able to get a better laptop because you want to be able to edit it quicker, and all of a sudden it just blossoms into this wonderful array of spending. Now, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be very aware that sometimes some purchases mean that you end up spending far more than you want to. And number 8, last but by no means least. Ready? You are never too poor to give. Just let that sink in for a moment. You are never too poor to give. It could be £1, it could be £10, it could be £500, it could be £1,000. Whatever your financial situation, you always have time to give. Yes, I said time. It's not always about money. I've just given to a very good friend of mine who has run across Wales in 9 days, running more than 30 miles a day with a very good friend of hers, which was an epic achievement. I gave her some money for her charity. Brilliant. I don't necessarily have heaps of cash to give away, but it's a really valuable cause, and I will put a link in the description below to Katie and her charity link, because it is definitely something that you should look at if you have ever tried to run a marathon. I've done a couple and they're hard, but to do 9 back to back, that's a good old effort. So just take a moment to think about, no matter your financial implications, are you able to give your time? Because time can be one of the greatest elements to give. Investing your time into somebody else can mean the world to somebody, whether it be helping out in a soup kitchen or just even babysitting for somebody around the corner, although we can't do that because of COVID at the moment. But you know what I mean, when it goes back to normal and we're allowed to, just think about giving back. Now that's it. They are my 8 most highly underrated financial pieces of advice. Obviously, none of this constitutes financial advice, because I have to get the disclaimer in there, because otherwise I will get into trouble. If you like that, please do check out this link here where I talk about how I quit my job with nothing to go to. If you have the Sunday evening blues and you detest Monday mornings, I highly recommend you have a watch, because it was life-changing for me. With that, I'm going to wish you all a great day, and I will see you all very soon. Cheers.